In terms of modern weapons, or the modern weapon of today's society, I don't believe it's the drones with the missile launchers. I don't believe it's some new M4 or AK. I don't believe it's any type of projectile. I think that the modern weapon of society, it falls in line with two things, specifically as a man, that we see constantly. One, it's your job as a man. You know, the fact that you're forced almost at gunpoint, because I believe it's actually illegal in some states in America, and in the UK, some provinces over there, I believe it's also illegal for a man to not hold some form of employment. And I also think that it's the bombardment of the sexualization of society and the sexualization of the workplace with the implementation of things like HR and the estrado that they have, where they constantly influence men. They constantly bombard men with sexualized images. Everything is very sexualized everywhere you go, but specifically in the workplace. I think that these two things constitute the modern weapon of society. It's designed to turn your most basic functions, things that you have a natural desire to do, into actual weapons to get you to destroy yourself. Specifically with working. If we focus on that, you go to the workplace, and usually women have always been very hypersexual creatures. They always have been. They're given any excuse to wear very form-fitting clothing. And the majority of places where a man can hold employment nowadays, they actually force working out on you to an extent. I mean, the majority of places actually have a gym incorporated with their location where they do whatever profession it is, as well as you not even being able to be hired as a man if you're not physically fit. That's usually a conditional term of the unwritten rule in the employment hierarchy. And I've even heard various female managers, as well as various female upper management, state, and I'm quoting, "We need more male employees. We need more testosterone. We need more swinging dicks." I've heard women actually say this. Now, you would initially think, oh, they just like men. Maybe they just want to have a conversation with a guy. They like how men talk. No, it's actually very sexual. Women are actually very much drawn to men and to the male form. A lot of people discard a lot of sexual encounters. They discard the modern weapon of sexuality, and they discard the modern weapon of sexuality in specifically the workplace. They say, oh, women all act a certain way. Women are not as horny as men. Women are not this, women are not that, with no basis in reality. When in truth, there have actually been several studies. There's this one doctor named Dr. Frank L. Connor. I would encourage every man to look up his research, but he's actually researched the study of beauty and the study of women specifically. Women spend hours, literal hours, putting on makeup. They obsess over every little detail. And if you think that she's not putting that same emphasis and focus on you as a man when she's choosing who she wants to let inside of her, then you have been sold one of the great lies of society. Because the modern weapon of society is not only sex, but sex in specifically the workplace. A lot of men have come to know and associate actual jobs and working with sex. A lot of guys know that, oh man, once I start working again, I'm going to automatically start fucking again. Because that's what the workplace is in society. If you truly think about everything that you've seen in your daily life and you associate it with truth, I believe that the story of Berserk, this anime about this character who has a really, really big sword and has to deal with some very uncomfortable, unnatural situations. If you think about it metaphorically, in my opinion, this story applies directly to a so-called black man and him dealing with the modern workforce in Western society. I believe that story correlates perfectly to everything that we have to deal with as so-called black men in everyday society as working men. Because if you think about it, the character of Berserk, he's motivated by ultimately his lust, his sexual desire for his coworker, his comrade, this woman who is not as good at doing anything in her profession and heavily relies on Berserk to survive, to live. And in reality, I guess in our terms, it would be to make money because she can't do anything on her own. And despite all of Berserk's sacrifices, his manager, his boss, his leader, ultimately takes the woman away from him in the end anyway, leaving him with nothing but a knife in his back. As a man, you have to look past all the bullshit. And if you're going to choose to work, simply go after the money and walk past literally everything else.
I'll leave the knife right in my back, so I'll keep hustling, you keep struggling, bitch I'm humbling, keep mumbling, I'll keep doubling, you keep bluffing, you've got nothing, I'll keep hustling.